Hello, everyone. I'm Ed Parco, and I'm here with Amy T. Meyer, and we are. Look at that, and we're live and we're back. And Amy's muted. You can't be muted, Amy, because I can't do this the whole time by myself. So, who's our guest today?
Our guest is an Army veteran, and her name is AnnMarie Stormo. So let's bring her in.
I'll bring her in. So don't worry. You just keep talking.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story, your transition, everything about what you're going to tell us. So, Amy, did you have any questions before we get going?
Just to start off, why did you pick the Army?
Well, thanks for having me, first place. But I chose the Army because I grew up listening to my grandfather's Army stories. He was in World War II, and he was in Korea, I believe. I don't know. Anyway, that was a long time ago.
Was it Vietnam?
No, he wasn't in Vietnam.
Okay, then it would be Korea.
Yeah. And but I grew up listening to him all my life. I started having him write down stories just so I can continue telling those stories to my son. But and then my uncle was in, my dad was in the Army, my brother went in the Army, and then I'm the only one that's actually retired from the Army. But yeah,
everybody else realized it, and everybody else was like, "Oh, this isn't for me. I'm out of here." You're still what'd you do? What'd you do in the Army?
I was an aerial intelligence analyst when I first joined. I was enlisted, and then kind of went through some things and got out after 10 years. I joined the National Guard, became active National Guard, and then I went to Officer Candidate School, and I chose logistics branch after Officer Candidate School, just because it's more realistic to, the civilian world than intel. So I went that route. Okay. So, and I just stayed active guard for the rest of the time period.
And when did you retire?
I retired in 2012.
Okay. Now, were you full-time in that before you retired? Were you still in the reserves or full-time active duty in the Guard?
When I retired?
I'm just, up to that point. I can't remember. I'm sorry. Allergies today. I forgot what you said. I apologize.
Okay. No, when I got off active duty, I went into the National Guard full-time.
Right. Oh, okay.
So I planned all the training for the M-Day soldiers. Okay. So, not just me, obviously.
Right. So with that, Amy's on her move again. I guess she's moving all over. Sorry, people. It's the Blair Witch Project up in the corner. Anyway, sorry about that. Let's focus on us. I'm going to kick her out of here if she keeps moving. There we go. All right. We'll bring her back in when she gets to where she's moving to.
Okay.
All right. So we found out why you picked the Army and what you went through and what you did. Now, transitioning out of the Army, did you plan that you were going to retire, or was it did you look at in 2 years from now I'm retiring, or a year from now I'm retiring, or just something happened and you had to retire?
I didn't have my bachelor's degree when I first became an officer. And so after a couple of deployments and everything, I didn't get my bachelor's degree on time. So it was one of those, they did a waiver for me. And then I got my bachelor's degree right after I was a non-select. So I was ready at that point. So being an officer is not for everybody. It's a lot of political moves. But I was ready at that point. My knees were bad. I couldn't run with my soldiers anymore. I just decided I was young enough that I could have a second career. And so that's what I chose.
Nice to see you back there, Amy. Nice. That's a good look for you right there, by the way.
It's a little scary.
Yeah. Watch out for that guy behind you with the knife. Screamed, Scream movie came back out again. So be careful. So when you got out, did you know exactly what you were going to do when you got out? And I do have two questions. Forget that one. Okay. But my next one, you said you didn't finish your bachelor's in time. So did you go to OCS without a bachelor's?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I had a 2-year degree, so they let me go. And on active duty, they'll send you to school and have you finish your bachelor's degree. But in the National Guard, they don't do that. So
you have to do it on your own time.
I had to do it on my own time. Yeah. In between deployments and everything else. So
Well, and when I was in, I got my bachelor's and started working on my master's,
Mm.
and then as I got out, I finished up my master's. So I understand doing that after hours. But I was
Yes.
lucky; I worked in physical therapy, so half the time we were sitting at the desk doing our homework.
Yeah.
So yeah, a
That's
little
nice.
different. Yeah, yeah.
But
All right. So you got out, and what was your plan when you were transitioning to get out? Did you go into your first job, and that's where you've been in ever since?
no, I actually wanted to go back to school and be a veterinarian technician. So I was putting my packet together while I was still in, transferring everything. Got a little sidetracked. I had to volunteer at a vet clinic for 2 months. Well, I was supposed to be a month, but I did 2 months. But it's a lot more work than you anticipate. And when you have bad knees and getting on the floor with the animals, and then you had to clean the anal glands, and that's where I was like, no, oh, no more. I'm not with the anal glands. So I chose a different route. So I just kind of used my background and I applied to logistics areas. I worked at Home Depot at the distribution center and I was operations manager there for 2 years. So,
Wow.
and then I just kind of realized that I didn't want to work 60 or 70 hours a week the rest of my life and miss the rest of my son's life like I did the first 20 years. So just kind of went on my separate ways from there.
Yeah, watching Yellowstone and them taking care of the vets kind of got me to think that's not a good plan for people.
No.
Have you ever watched Yellowstone?
Oh, I love Yellowstone.
Yeah. When Jimmy had to go take care of the horse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not into that.
My grandparents had a dairy, so that whole stuff is not, that's when I figured out I did not want to deal with animals as a career. So
Mhm.
yeah. So I joined the Navy to see the world and got to see San
Very
Diego. So
Oh, San Diego. That's nice.
yeah. So it wasn't a bad seeing the world. San Diego and Texas and back. Not a big deal. All right, Amy, any questions? Because you haven't been part of this for a while.
I have been part of it, even if you haven't seen me. But
Mhm.
so you decided not to do the veterinarian thing. How long did it take you to get to where you are now?
Oh, well, I kind of after I was at Home Depot, I decided that wasn't the right fit for me because I was working so much. I was going through divorce, and I decided I wanted to find me, and so I just went and I worked a little bit here and there, and then I found a company an RV center, and I worked as actually I started in parts for like $13.50 an hour. I just said I don't care. I just want to be happy. I want to be home at night. I want to spend more time with my family and my friends and stuff. So I was there like a month, and they hired me as a customer relations officer. So and I did that for a couple of years, and I enjoyed it. Great people. Actually, my general manager was prior service, so we had a good time talking about people in military terminology. So, but yeah, it's been great. And then after that, I decided to go into the maintenance arena and ended up working at Harley Davidson and was a service advisor for Harley Davidson. So until my accident, and said, but I loved it. I love that. I loved to ride.
So so if nobody knows your accident, do you want to
Oh,
talk about it? Yeah. I mean,
I was just in a motorcycle accident.
okay. All right.
So, and yeah,
Did you lose a leg?
yes, I did. So
I just
yeah,
worked in
I've
physical therapy. They taught me working in physical therapy not to ride motorcycles. Too many Marines lost their legs from
yeah.
that.
That's well, I didn't lose my leg from the accident itself, but from infections and everything. I went through 20 surgeries in 2 years. So, and I finally this last year, February 2021, I was like, I'm done. Just take it. So, and they did, and I've been happier since. So, back at it.
What do you do now?
I'm a customer service, basically at a box plant. It's called West Rock. It's down in Longview. So it's great people, good community. I love it.
Good.
Yeah.
Amy, anything?
I do. So
What I like about today is it's like watching these old Japanese movies with Amy. She's like, and I was saying, sorry,
yes.
her internet's a little slow there. I can see today. Go ahead, Amy.
Yes. So my internet is slow, so I do apologize for that. But my question, we usually ask, like, what do you use in the military? What did you learn from the military that you use today? but I want to also caveat that you have helped you become resilient through what you've gone through.
Yes, definitely. It takes more energy to think about the negativity than it does to think about the silver lining. And so that's kind of what I've used, trying to motivate your soldiers throughout my career in the military, trying to, be positive. And it helped me get through what I've gone through in the past 2 years. So I just, instead of sitting on my couch and crying about losing a leg, I just decided, I called my buddy who was prior service, and he had a service dog, and she'd come over and she'd just take care of me and love me and help me. And then 2 weeks after my amputation, I called him. I said, take my car and go get it fixed. I need to drive. And so I've been going ever since. So the military has taught me so many different things about resiliency. You just got to go. So that's what I did then.
I'm gonna still want Amy's questions. Do you volunteer any nonprofit stuff?
I haven't, because no, not really. When I was writing, we did a lot of volunteering, a lot of charity rides and everything. So I'm hoping to get back into that as well.
Are you gonna get back into riding?
Oh yes, I already have a bike. So I've already ridden it with my leg. So we're just setting it up to where it's more easier to ride for me.
Okay, just asking because I like when people are they're a vet or something like that, they always bring home their work. When people work for certain things, they bring home their work. Like when they're working on motorcycle plates, next thing you know, they have a ton of motorcycles. There's all these things you bring home from whatever. And I just was curious if you were bringing you brought that home with you still. So.
Oh yeah, I was riding before I started working at Harley Davidson. So it just going from the maintenance side of RVs to Harley Davidson, something I love. So it just was a good transition, and I loved it. So it's just not feasible for me because you have to ride the bikes when you're there. And so it's not feasible for me now, but I just kind of fell into this position and at this company, and I just absolutely love it. They're great.
All right. Looking back over your life so far, was there anything you would change about when you joined the military? Anything you would have done differently?
I wouldn't have became an officer. I mean, I have nothing against officers. I think I would have been better served either as a warrant officer or just stayed as an NCO. So,
is that because there's different? So I know when I was in the Navy and I was a corpsman, if I went and became an officer, would have had to been a line officer, which would have been on a ship and this and that, unless you're a doctor or this or that, and that was the problem. Right. I did not want to be the only thing I could do is ship base or this or that. Is that kind of what happened with when you became an officer in the Army? Is it like a certain path you had to go?
It was a transition. So when I was on active duty, I was an NCO, I was a staff sergeant, and in my community, I mean, we had vehicles, but I never really fueled my own vehicles. So when I graduated at OCS, I was in recruiting command first, and then as an officer in the National Guard, you have to serve a leadership position. So regardless of what my full-time position is, I have to be in a leadership position, which is great. But my first leadership position was a POL platoon leader, and and your first time basically in a unit in the National Guard, it's a huge change from when you were active duty, huge. So I'm just grateful. I'm blessed that I had really good NCOs that taught me, because you go to OCS and you go to officer basic course. It doesn't really teach you everything you need to know. You learn in the military, in the unit. And I had an amazing NCO for platoon sergeant, and just everywhere I went, I just fell into just great people. The warrant officers taught me so much about logistics, because I didn't grow up in logistics like they did. So just relying on the people around you, it helped. So, but my leadership background as an NCO did help me as an officer as well. So,
well, and that what you learned there helps you today, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, because you're able to talk to a lot of different people and work with many different people because of what you had to deal with and what you went from being enlisted to an officer and then relying on your people.
Yes, just makes you well-rounded. So, and being able to work with anybody, and I can, even people that, some people don't want to work with because they're cranky or whatever. That's why they brought me in at the RV center as a customer relations, because I could talk to the the older people that get angry, and I can calm them down. And I just knew how to refocus them and take them someplace else to, get their mind off what they're angry about. So I was good at it.
Amy.
Yeah. So we always ask, is there anything that you left behind in the military? You're like, I'm never going to do that again.
Um,
And you can't say being an officer.
no,
Because you already said it.
yeah. Honestly, no. I loved. Honestly, I think the military should be at least a 2-year commitment to every young person. I honestly think, because it helps you grow as a person. It makes you responsible. Hopefully, it's supposed to. But no, I don't regret anything about my military service. I mean, I loved everything. I wish my son would have went in. He's doing well as a civilian, but I think it would have been really good for him. And I do recommend it to any kids. If they want to talk to me, all his friends, if they want to talk to me about it, I'll definitely steer them in the right direction.
Yeah, my son's in the Army. He's at Anchorage, Alaska. So,
nice.
And I'm amazed how fast they go up in rank. And I say that of pretty much every other show, because I mean, he's already going to be, I think he's a E4 already, and he's going for sergeant for E5, and I think he just got it. That's wow. And he's only been not even in 3 years. I mean, he's in 3 years.
Yeah,
so it's amazing.
I graduated PLDC and got promoted at 3 years. So I got promoted to E5 at 3 years. So
I mean, I couldn't even get to E4 in almost 5 years in the Navy, but
it all depends on your MOS.
Well, that's just because people have to get out. People never got out, and as corpsmen, they retired. So
that's true. Oh yeah, it's different. The promotion system's different in the Navy. So
yeah, well, that's how it was. I don't know how it's today's Navy. Could be different. Could be the same. Yeah. Who knows? Sorry, I keep drinking my tea because it's the only way I can talk. Because these allergies are killing me in California. And then I was at our cabin last weekend and had the fireplace going, and the smoke from that, I think, made it worse. All right. So looking back, all right, we talked about your career in the military, and looking back at that, how you wouldn't change. The only thing you would change is not become an officer. Not that that's a bad thing. Other people.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, but not at all. I mean, it just depends on what your plan is for the future. Mm-hmm. Looking now, you're working for a new company. What's your plan for the future?
Just stay here and retire. We're building a new facility down here in Longview. There's a lot of growth potential. I can go to get a yellow belt, green belt, and do all the training I need. There's just so much here that's available for us. So, and it's just a great family type company, and I enjoy it. They actually built they didn't have any handicap parking here, and so they created handicap parking for me. So that's how they think. They take care of their people. So I'm gonna probably stay here and just until I retire. So.
And for those of us who relate to the party, where are you located?
Oh, Longview, Washington.
Thank you. I assumed it was Washington because Amy only gets people in Washington. I don't know why.
That is not true.
We're good people.
No, I think it's that joint base that's around there. I think there's a lot of people up there so where I'm in Northern California, there's not really any bases here anymore. So they're all in Southern California, or so it's much harder, even though 17% of the people pretty much anywhere is veterans. It's just, we don't run into them like you guys would have up there, all the active duty.
Yeah.
All right.
So when you transitioned out, was there a program? Like, did you go through the traditional Army program, or as a reservist, is it really different?
I went through the
National Guard
Army program.
National Guard, excuse me.
Yeah, that's okay. I went through the traditional Army program. So, and I can't say I had the best experience with it, but because I was still working. And then after I stopped working, I just wanted to be away from the military system. And so I just didn't finish as much as I should have. But I think I was pretty successful with it. But yeah, it's a little bit more. It's different on definitely in the National Guard as an active duty soldier. So,
all right. So, as the active duty soldier of National Guard, getting the transition, was it a week program that a lot of places have, or was it longer than that?
It was longer. I started about 2 or 3 months out, and just went to different classes and resume classes, and Yeah, it's pretty. It was the same. I just didn't take advantage of what I should have, and some people do. I just didn't. I was ready to go. So
I think a lot of people don't take advantage of it on the way out, but I mean, I think it's also different for officers and
mhm.
enlisted and, retirees and non-retirees, kind of the different
Yeah,
transitioning. And so I think they need to put a better program together. They are working on it a little differently. We've had a few people on the show who are help people transition out, get involved more. And that's what we're trying to do with the show, is making sure that people are connected to all the different services that are available out there, and that kind of thing. And because it's really important to know what's out there for you as a veteran, and while
yeah,
you're transitioning out, and also while you're out.
right. One thing about the National Guard community is you don't PCS, so you're here, and so I was able to lean on some of my friends, and I could still call. I have friends that work for the VA. I could call them up anytime and say, "Hey, I have a question about this." So that's one thing that's I think is different about the National Guard, is just the community is you have access to the subject matter experts. So
Amy, do you have anything?
No, I think that's really good. I do feel like, even though I was never in the National Guard, I do have a lot of connections. You and
mhm.
Officer Hillman or General Hillman and
I love
different
General Hillman.
people.
Hmm.
And I think, so that's good to hear, because I don't have personal experience, so I don't know.
Hmm.
So thank you for sharing that. But I think Ed and I do this because there's so many silos of information
Hmm.
that we want to break through. So I ask you this. Do you have any advice for somebody who might be in a similar situation? Either they went green to gold, or they're a new officer that's getting out for transition.
Um, only advice I would just take advantage of it. Don't hold yourself up in your house. And I just didn't want to be around the military at that point. But you just have to take advantage of it and start your VA claim way before you get out. Start putting that together and talking to people, because it's difficult. It's hard to do, and it took me years to get through the system of that. So, and that's just talking to other people and older vets telling me, "Oh no, honey, you got to do this." And so it's you have to be able to navigate the whole VA system too. So and get with your DAV or your VFW. Just get with the people that know, because they do. They're the subject matter experts. You need to talk to about that.
I agree, because I mean, you need to get those services for you sooner than later. What's the matter? Are we all pausing?
Well, if I am, it's not on purpose.
I don't know.
No, I think. All right. Well, yeah, we're all having internet issues today. Must be the high
Yeah.
prices of gas.
I have to say, you do look good for your age. I heard you're 60.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. Did you throw that out there? Yeah, that's what I keep being told. That's all right. I quit. It's all you, Amy. I'm out of here. Bye. AnnMarie, I want to thank you for being on the show today. Is there anything else you want to add before we go? Anything, a little nugget you want to add?
No, I've known Amy from, she's helping me with getting a service dog, and she has me connected with Northwest Battle Buddies. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
It started this. So, yeah, so I think it's interesting, and it's a good process. And Amy has taken good care of me with that. So I appreciate that.
Amy, are you connected to them, or you just know them?
Northwest Battle Buddies. I'm not, but if as far as service dog providers, they are
Mhm.
absolutely the best of the best, and so I do have to give them a shout out. This journey of funding service animals has been arduous, and has been an education for me, and so I am honored to be able to do this for veterans, and so I'm so thrilled to find a group that I am 100% confident takes care of the veteran in its entirety. And so
Yes,
I'm
they
very
do.
thankful for them.
All right. Someone going through the process, how's the process work?
So with Northwest Battle Buddies, a veteran can go on their website and apply for a service dog. They go through, the CEO is just a very passionate woman who has many, many military people in her family. And one of the lead trainers is a female Marine Corps veteran. And it's the like-minded individuals, but it's making sure that the animals have all the training that they need to be able to do the tasks required of them to support our veterans' mental health, to support our veterans in having great lives, as their next steps. And so going through the website would be the easiest way to, if you're a veteran. And if you're a business that wants to contribute, definitely go into their website and you can contribute.
Amy, I think you need to have them on the show.
I think I need to have them on the show.
There you
Agree.
Oh,
And they can tell you how to do it and what they need. All right.
definitely.
Yeah. Anything else, Amy, before we go?
Thank you, everybody who is watching us amid this crazy internet, and I apologize for that. I'll get it fixed. But if you like what you hear, definitely follow us. If you're a veteran who would like to share your story or know of a veteran who'd like to share your story, definitely reach out to us. We would love to have them on the podcast, or you.
And how do they do that?
They send smoke signals.
Oh, okay.
If you're a friend of us on Facebook, you can email me and Ed and info@helpingthebrave.com.
There you go. Or you can Instagram, any of that stuff, or just find us. We're there everywhere. And the podcast is actually on everywhere you find your favorite podcasts, or you can just go to the YouTube channel, which is helpingthebrave.com. And I want to thank you for being here today, AnnMarie, and we will
Thank you.
see everybody next week.
All right, thank you for having me.
All right.